Welcome to Pit Stop with Don and James. I'm James.
Don,
Don, how's it going, man?
yeah, it's going pretty good. We are right at the tail end of March and just finished the third race of the season, man.
Yeah, Japanese Grand Prix. Always a fan favorite. Definitely have the best fans, I think, in all of Formula One. Those guys take it to the next level in the way that they dress up and the way that they interact with everybody. So it's always fun to see the people there.
Yeah, the attire, the hats, they got interesting hats they wear. Very cool. Very cool scene over there, and yeah, I got a kick out of the race. I liked the race. I thought it was for me an improvement on last year's Suzuka Grand Prix. Personally, I felt like last year was a little bit boring. This year, there's a little bit more action, particularly some good action up front. First five positions or so, six positions. What'd you think?
I thought the race was a little slow. Maybe it was just the way that they were doing the coverage, because the coverage, I think we only ever saw the top five, six cars, maybe,
Yeah,
and that was it. Even kind of later stages of the race, there was a dive from Lando Norris, and we totally missed it. Like they cut like halfway after
yeah,
it was already done, coming into the last chicane there. Uh, just the way that they covered this race, I was not a fan of it.
yeah. The commentators were very excited about the move that Norris made on Hamilton, and the the camera was like three cars up, and so you only saw the move like way in the background. It was it was kind of ridiculous. Yeah, so I was a little displeased with the coverage. I thought the race was okay, but the coverage, nothing back there in those midfield battles. That was a little disappointing. Uh, there was stuff going on with between Gasly and Verstappen that I thought warranted some more coverage, and they really, I mean, at best they were like putting in a little picture in picture. So yeah, I will give that to you. I got a little bit of a gripe with that.
Yeah, it was not that I really think there was much action going on in the midfield, anyways. I think probably the biggest one would be the accident that Ollie Behrman had trying to come around Colapinto.
Yeah,
We are glad that he is okay, so that's a good start.
yeah.
But uh, did Colapinto just have some sort of issue with his car? Because I didn't see any blinking lights indicating that he was doing any sort of harvesting. His car just seemed to slub. Is similar to what appears George Russell was having, where his car just did not have power.
Yeah, I don't think they ever addressed that. What it seemed like happened was Behrman was deploying to go around him, coming into the first part of Spoon, if I'm not mistaken, and he was going fast. I mean, Behrman was clearly had the speed advantage over Colapinto, and Colapinto just kind of like drifted to the left a little bit, right into his path, and Behrman took a little bit of evasive action and hit the grass and just lost it at a very high speed. They said he hit the wall at 50G, and he got out of the car and was limping pretty severely. He didn't look good. He was struggling. The marshals had to kind of help him up and or help him sit down and then help him back up later. But he went in for X-rays, like you said. There was nothing broken. So, and then later they showed him in the garage, and um, he was moving around a little bit than right in the
Yeah,
immediate aftermath. So yeah, good that he's feeling better or not too worse for the wear. And but yeah, that was a big shunt.
yeah, scary. It's been a while since we've seen something that huge, right? I think the
Yeah,
last time we heard 50 G's was maybe Max Verstappen at Silverstone when he came together with Hamilton. That was pretty hefty.
yeah,
So definitely scary. Glad he's okay. Um, but
yeah,
I think we're jumping ahead here a little
yeah.
bit. We got to get
that
back to the start.
that impact did have a significant impact. So we got to circle back um, to that one.
Yeah, tough start for Mercedes. They just could not find the power off the line. We saw Kimmy spin the tires coming off the start, and it totally messed him. Oh, I say it messed him up. Made it back, but very fortunate in the way that he did. But it looked kind of all to be lost at the beginning of the race.
Yeah, he started from pole and dropped all the way back to P6, wasn't it? So he got
Long
jumped.
way back.
He got jumped really big time. The McLarens and the Ferraris, they bolted off the line, and we've been used to seeing the Ferraris jump off the line, so that was nothing new. But the McLarens uh, have only had one car start in the first two races, um, so
Yeah,
it
Oscar
was
Piastri's first actual race this
yeah.
season, 3 races in.
I know, which is a shame, and it sucks in this sport to start off on the back foot that way. It definitely hurts their long term championship prospects if they don't finish races at the start of the season. But it was ultimately a really good day for McLaren, and I felt appropriate to bring out my McLaren gear, including these
There
are
you
both
go.
Piastri items. So this is a Piastri hat and a Piastri shirt because he got a great jump, and quite frankly, I was a little surprised at how well he was holding on to the lead, given what we've seen in the previous races. In the previous races, Ferrari has jumped the lead, but not been able to hold on to it for very long, maybe a couple of laps at best. And Oscar seemed to have held on to the lead and was going to hold on to the lead, except for the safety car that came out as a result of the crash we were just talking about. So yeah, good day for them, for McLaren. I'm sure that that was a sigh of relief for them to see that their cars, first of all, both started, second of all, both finished, and third of all, got a good points haul on the day for them. So I was happy that was a good day, a good day for my team.
Yeah. Well, that pit stop is really what separated, right? Because we had, I think it was Piastri and Russell had both pitted, and then right as Kimmy was coming back up to come to the front straight, that's when the accident happened
Yeah,
and gave Kimmy Antonelli the free pit stop to regain the lead.
yeah,
Just pure luck that he got got back
Com-
into the lead. It
completely.
might have been it would have been a very different race had that not happened. So very
Yeah.
fortuitous for him.
Yeah, at the very least, Mercedes would have had to pass McLaren on track to to take the lead. That is certainly not an impossible task. Maybe they would have won it anyway, but yeah, it was just the timing happened to be really bad luck for George because he was the one really contending for the race lead of the two Mercedes that were out there. He was the one that was further ahead, but when they took their pit stops to try to kind of undercut, that put Antonelli back into P1 without a pit stop, and he just got lucky on the timing. And yeah, they were saying typical time loss for a pit stop about 22 seconds down to 10 seconds under the safety car. So that just meant that Antonelli from the lead could pit and come back out in the lead. I mean, just so lucky. It's so lucky for him. And then he drove a brilliant race to hold on to the lead. I mean, Oscar was within somewhat of striking distance for a very short time, and then that stinking Mercedes was gone. That thing's a
Yeah, I
rocket.
think he got the radio message like just go for it, and that was kind of it. Like, he was like, "There's no
Yeah,
need to save anything." Finished just a little over 13 seconds, almost 14 seconds ahead of Piastri. Um,
yeah,
so well done to Kimmy, but George Russell, like, obviously he lost out on the pit stop because of the yellow flag. Bit unfortunate for him, but that wasn't the only issue he had. He had that battery issue. Now, if I understand correctly, he's already on his second battery, and I think they only get 2 battery packs for the whole season. The announcers were saying that he was going back and forth with his race engineer, trying to just flip all the switches within the car to try to move things around and see if he can get power. It never seemed
mhm,
like he truly fully recovered.
Yeah, he was very very close to being on the podium. He overtook Charles Leclerc temporarily near the end of the race to which would have put him on the podium, but then that well, the Ferrari has good speed through the corners, and the Ferrari and Charles Leclerc is he's a brilliant driver, so he was able to get it back with deploying battery power and got around. I will say to kind of comment on your what you said just a second ago about the two battery packs. I mean, doesn't that seem like a rules mistake in this first year? I mean, come on,
Yeah,
give them a couple more batteries until this technology settles in. But yeah,
yeah, it
um,
seems really aggressive for the first season, doesn't it?
right. I don't know. I
Well,
these I will say this. I will say this, and this is actually pretty huge. I think we had only one reliability retirement this race. It was Lance Stroll's car, Aston Martin. Otherwise, the only other retirement was Ollie Behrman. We haven't seen 20 cars finish yet in the first two races, and 20 cars finished the race this time, and one of them was out on a a crash. So I think that's good news. Also, I think what we're going to start to see and what was set up in the first couple of races long term for car development wise was it seemed that Mercedes has the race pace and Ferrari has some sort of advantage for race starts and some kind of cornering advantage. We're going to see those two. So the Mercedes needs to kind of figure out the race start, and the Ferrari needs to figure out race pace. And now we're sort of seeing like maybe McLaren isn't as far off as it might have seemed. Yeah, now that they have one race under their belt with a good points result. So anyway, but that Ferrari Mercedes fight, I'm very curious to see where that goes. Who's going to develop their weak point better throughout the year?
yeah, it's. I was just looking back at the stats right now. So in Australia, we had three DNFs and two DNSs. Of course, being Piastri and Hulkenberg, that did not start the opening race. And then we go down to China, and we had uh, three DNFs, but four DNSs. We had both McLarens not make it to the starting grid, along with Albon and Bortoleto. And now we're down to only two drivers not making it to the end of the race, and one was only that reliability that you mentioned.
Yeah,
So definitely a step in the right direction. We do have a full month off. The next Grand Prix isn't in until Miami, so it'll be interesting to see what the teams make of these next 30 days or so that we have before we jump down into Miami. I'm hoping good things, hoping big things. I think the biggest one would be Aston Martin just sorting out the reliability issues, man. They need to find time, but it's not just them that need to find time. We need to see Cadillac really step it up and do something.
yeah, yeah. I mean, Aston and Cadillac have been the back markers easily. We can say that, and frankly, um, sh- shamefully, Aston was behind Cadillac. I mean, Cadillac's brand new, and they were beating at least one team that could be seen as a success for them today. Fernando Alonso made it the whole race, which is a good sign. They actually talked during one of the I don't remember if it was during one of the free practices or the qualifying, but that and I think you mentioned this, so this was a good foresight of you. The fact that they were in Japan, their power unit is a Japanese power unit, Honda power unit, and they thought maybe they'd be. I think you mentioned something about maybe they'll have time to meet at the facility there, and
Yeah.
they must have because they started to figure some things out. They actually pinpointed that it was the internal combustion portion of the power unit that was causing these vibrations. They said that they didn't see that kind of vibration in the power unit when it was just being tested on, I don't know if they tested on a different vehicle or it just by itself, but once it was mounted to the chassis, there was some sort of resonance that was just like causing this thing to shake really bad. It seems that they must have at least gotten it somewhat under control, because before they were worried it was vibrating so bad they were worried it was going to cause nerve damage to the drivers if they drove it for a
Right.
whole Grand Prix. And today they let a guy drive it the whole Grand Prix. So I'm hoping that means that it's not just a jackhammer that they're holding on to now. So, but yeah, so we'll see, man. I really want to see them improve. It's been a bummer. I really had high hopes, and it's just been like right down the right down the drain for those guys.
Yeah. I do want to point out somebody that's been a standout for me this year, which has never been a standout for me, and that is Pierre Gasly.
I knew you were going to say that. Yes, I agree.
Dude is having a great start to the season. I am not the biggest Pierre Gasly fan. I've always just kind of written him off, but I don't think I can this year. He is having such a good start. He finished 10th in the opening Grand Prix, finished 6th in China, and now he finishes 7th, ahead of Max Verstappen, sitting ahead of Max in the overall standings. Dude's just having a great run. And I
Yeah.
think his defending against Max today really kind of solidified that for me.
Yeah, I completely agree. I was watching him. I wish we saw more coverage on the broadcast. Max was within 1 second, within a half a second for quite some time near the end of the race, and Pierre held him off. I mean, I was really rooting for him. I found myself literally saying like, "Come on, Pierre!" at the screen, like, uh,
Yeah.
and I mean, it's a good sign for Alpine, right? Who had struggled a lot last year, really for the last couple of years. It's a good sign for them. It's a good sign for Pierre. That battle specifically today between Pierre and Max is a bad sign for Red Bull. I don't know what's going on over at Red Bull. They are not themselves. They're gonna have to figure a lot out, because Max doesn't look comfortable in the car. He's got a lot of gripes. At one point, he was on the radio saying that he felt like he didn't even have power steering. He was fighting the wheel so bad. So and then Hadjar, who has held his own as far as it goes with the second driver at Red Bull. He's outperformed Max at once or twice this year. Didn't outperform him today. Kind of struggled today in this Grand Prix, but they just don't have it. They don't have the start. They don't have the race pace. They don't seem to have a qualifying pace. So yeah, what's going on over there? What do you got? Any thoughts about that? About
Oh
Red Bull?
man. Well, I thought Hadjar was gonna be the guy for the season, especially after just kind of. I mean, I know we're only 3 races in, so it's hard to say, but I mean, in qualifying for Australia, Hadjar was third for qualifying,
Yeah,
and the only reason he didn't finish the race is because he had an engine failure. And then you go into China for the qualifying. Um, him and Max were side by side, and then you come to the actual race, and it just kind of wasn't there. I think he started 8th and finished 8th, so he wasn't moving anywhere, and Lawson was 7-8 seconds ahead up the road. So I don't even know what happened today. Today might have just been a bit of a fluke. I think you might be right. Maybe it is the battery packs. These things might just need to be replaced, every 2 to 3 races. It's not looking good for whatever reason it may be. But this track, it almost just kind of turned in. I think the term we used last year was a DRS train. I don't know what you call it now, an Activero train, I guess. Everybody just kind of seemed to be following each other for the whole race, and the deployment didn't really make that much difference in the midfield. There wasn't really a lot of movement going along, at least not that they showed. I probably need to go back and double check that one. But if it's anything like the front, we would see the guys kind of, if they weren't passing in the last chicane, they were getting pretty close. And if they did pass in the last chicane, then the guy just would come back and get it in turn one 9 times out of 10. There was a handful of times where actually stuck. But if it was anything like that the rest of the way down, it's not it's not really
Yeah.
good racing.
Well, it's a little more complicated these days, right? So you've got not only the active arrow, but you've got the deployment.
Hmm.
I still don't, if I'm being honest, I don't 100% understand they have a boost option, there's overtake mode, and there's straight line mode, and I don't fully understand what the difference in battery deployment is on all of those things. So uh, and there's some that are only available when you're within 1 second, like the DRS was. I think that overtake mode, you have to hit the detection point and be within a second of the person ahead of you. But straight line mode, you can use anytime on the straights when you hit the straight mode section. And then the boost mode, they keep saying on the broadcast it's available at any time. So I don't I don't know the difference between all these, or and it might just be the amount of deployment they can do. I've now heard the word megajoules more than I had ever heard in my life when they're talking about the
Yeah.
amount of electric
Never thought
deployment.
I would hear that in an F1 race talking about megajoules.
Yeah. So anyway, it's gonna take me a little more time before my pea-sized brain figures this out. but but yeah, I will say it has added an element that I think is kind of interesting. There's been a lot of, I think it's kind of polarizing right now. There's been a lot of drivers who say they hate it. There's been other drivers like Lewis Hamilton who says that he thinks it's great for the sport. I think the deployment has added an element of strategy, and people are starting to figure out when it is more advantageous than others to deploy their battery power. I think that's one thing. And then the other thing is that we clearly have seen more at the front battles, um, where there's this. Use the term the DRS train was what we saw a lot of times before. Now what we're seeing is the battery power yo-yo. So we see a guy
Yes.
deploy, he gets a huge advantage and goes ahead. Then he runs out of his electric deployment, and the guy behind him has now harvested a little, and he deploys. So we're seeing some of that where they're passing and repassing each other, and I do think that's been fun to watch. To be honest, I've liked it, and I think it's going to kind of smooth out as people figure out how to how to use it more effectively. And maybe we won't see as much yo-yoing, um, but yeah, it's definitely made for exciting times. Having said that, even with what happened today, clearly in clear air, the Mercedes is just flat out the fastest vehicle out there.
Still.
It's just, and yeah, they are the team to beat right now. And Kimmy,
Yeah.
Kimmy, youngest ever to lead the championship, and we're 3 races in, so this could change easily. But he's doing a great job and making the most of everything that he's been dealt. So yeah, good for him.
Yeah, man. He appears to just be the man this year.
Yeah,
For my bold prediction, I think you'll remember, I said that George was going to retake the lead, which was almost true. But I think Kimmy might just be the guy to finish it up. It's definitely going to come down to them at the end of the season, right?
yeah,
It has to, unless there's unforeseen circumstances like we saw today with the yellow flag. It's just going to be. I think it's just going to be every teammate against each other.
yeah,
The only other one I see is maybe McLaren and Ferrari, because they kind of seem to be neck and neck in where they're finishing and how they're driving. I think it'll be them. And then when you get further down the field, I think it'll be the Alpine against the Red Bull and the Racing Bull and the Haas and the Audi. I think though that's where the main it's just going to be kind of like last year, right? That's where the main target was, everybody vying for that last top 10 position to finish out the season.
yeah,
It's going to be tough. It's definitely going to go all the way down to the wire again. I could feel it. I don't think it'll be quite as much as a comeback by anybody. Max Verstappen made a great comeback last year. Almost got it and just narrowly missed out. But I don't think it'll be anything quite like that this year.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. I mean, I still have a lot of belief in George Russell. I think he has the definite chance to win this whole thing, the drivers' championship. I think one break that goes his way to offset this break that went Kimmy's way, and it'll be back to George, advantage George. So I think it's a long season, and assuming that Mercedes at least has a handful more races where they're the dominant car and they're clearly um, the favorites to win it. If one of them goes George's way, I think this evens back out, and we could see very well see a similar situation what we saw at McLaren last year, where the two drivers were really neck and neck down to the end of the season. That could happen at Mercedes. It'll be curious um, if it does turn up that way. That to see how Toto and their team manages it versus how Zach Brown did at McLaren and Andrea Stella. Like they tried to be as I felt like as unbiased as possible at McLaren, and it made for a dramatic end, and ultimately kind of worked itself out. So that'll be interesting to see if they have a similar situation at Mercedes, because both drivers over there are doing well early season. So
That's at the top. At the bottom, Cadillac and Aston Martin, man. They are still the only two teams without points. Even Williams have 2 points. Audi's got 2 points. So uh, I really just want to see everybody get closer together. If you remember last year, during qualifying, there were some qualifying sessions where the top 15 drivers were like all within a second of each other. Those days are long gone, man. The field
yeah,
is just way too wide. I think it was Australia where only the top 6 cars were on the lead lap. And everybody else had either not finished or was at least a lap down. I think that was the race where Sergio Perez was 3 laps down. Absolutely brutal.
mm-hmm.
I think just about everybody was on the lead lap this time. I think Fernando Alonso and Bottas were the only ones not on the lead lap, not including Alexander Albon. Uh, that dude kind of gave up and just did some testing laps at the end of
Yeah.
the race with 2 extra pit stops. So I'm not going to count him totally. Um,
I think I
but
think
not a great run. Not a
I
great
think
run.
I think some of the lead lap thing had to do with the timing of the safety car. It was mid race, and it reset and let everybody at the time of the safety car. Only Bottas had been lapped, which I kind of
Yeah.
found funny. Like they have a procedure. They're going around the track behind the safety car, and then after they clear the debris, then they let the lapped cars unlap themselves, and it was just Bottas. He just had to
Yep.
zip around.
Just him.
And but yeah, I mean, I think everybody was sort of expecting that Cadillac would struggle this year. Struggle in the sense that they wouldn't be super competitive for points and whatnot. And so it's just fun to see them out there and to see those old names. To see Bottas out there, to see Checo Perez out there has been good. I think I've enjoyed that. And we'll see. I want to see them progress. I think they will. I mean, it's a big organization. Cadillac's got a lot of money. They've got you know they've got people. So we'll see. I think that they'll develop, and we'll start to see over the next. It might not ever get quite there this season, but I'm thinking over the next couple of seasons, this season and maybe next season, what you were describing before with those huge gaps and huge spread in times it's gonna compress down, and
Yeah.
people will start to figure it out. But you're right, man. These gaps are where we never saw in qualifying anybody like 5-7 seconds back. And
Yeah.
the back marker cars are way back there. They're just not as good. So,
Yeah. Just to kind of put it in perspective, so for Q1, the fastest times were in the 129s, late 129s, but 129s nonetheless. And we had Lance Stroll being knocked out with a 132.9 3 seconds back.
Yeah,
That's
it's a pretty big gap.
that's pretty brutal
Yeah,
for the 22 cars that are supposed to be the top of motorsport, the pinnacle of motorsport. So,
yeah.
I don't know. I don't know, man. But I'm going to keep my eyes on the midfield. I think Pierre Gasly, like I said, he's going to be a really good one to watch. And then, as always, going to keep rooting for my Williams guys. James Voles has continually acknowledged that the car is not where it needs to be. So I'm hoping they really utilize this month off, take a reset, and sort of come back and come, figure out what's going on.
Well, so I mean, I guess as a reminder, the reason we've got a month off is because of the conflict, the military conflict that's going on in Iran right now, and so the Jeddah and the Bahrain Grand Prix were
Yeah,
canceled, and um, our hearts go out to the citizens of those countries and the whole region. Just hope that we see the the minimum amount um, of destruction and uh, just hell of that we can see, and maybe cooler heads will prevail and that'll end soon. That's my hope anyway. But then I don't know if there's any rules or if the FIA has any kind of like restriction on what the teams can do during this time. I hope they sort of open it up and let them develop, and I don't know if they could get a chance to use the wind tunnel or anything like that, but if I hope that they let them do that, because I think that will actually be good for the sport if everybody can develop their car and we see even better improvements in reliability, uh, and whatnot, so that you know it's not just a wasted month. That's my hope
yeah. I
anyway.
think when the FIA came up with these regulations, I think they would have imagined that it would be a little more perfect. I don't know the best way to say that. Like, I think in theory, it sounds interesting and it could be good, but because the batteries just aren't up to snuff, it's really dragging it down. I mean, it's the same issue that we've seen kind of everywhere else in the past few races where they're coming up they come out of Spoon and they go up the hill to 130R. The battery's gone and the power just drops before they even hit the corner, which is a corner traditionally taken flat out. You know, it's kind of hard to watch as a longtime fan of Formula One.
Yeah, that is not what you want to see. And there's been conspiracies all around on the internet that people are theorizing about, even with the FIA's coverage of these the races or the practice sessions or whatever, where they're like, hey, clearly that car is slowing down on the straight or into the high speed corner, but the display makes it seem like they're not slowing down, like they want us to believe the car's still going fast. And i'm like
Yeah,
i'm like well, I hope that's not the case. That would be really lame if they were doing that, but you're right. Like, we want to see these cars optimized and get it to the point where they are taking flat out corners flat out and not having to harvest energy. So um
you look
yeah.
at any other sport, motor racing sport, you don't see that.
Right.
You look at the World Endurance Championship; those guys are going down at Le Mans, which is your foot is buried for just miles.
Yeah.
Going down the long straight, and those cars don't slow up; they just redline the whole
Yeah.
time. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
and those guys are running hybrids too. So, I think that's kind of what they were hoping for, maybe something along those lines of what they see in the World Endurance Championship
Mhm.
with those hybrid engines. But the way that they have it set up here, it's just not working.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's hard to watch, and it's a real bummer. But even that being said, I still enjoy the sport. I still enjoy the racing.
Yeah.
It's just those little moments that make it less enjoyable.
Yeah. Well, and they're in a constant, um, I guess, a constant need to reinvent the sport. This is a business principle. if you, at least when I studied business in college, when you have a business, you have to always be innovating. And even if you have a product that is something that like sells itself, the Big Mac or whatever, there's a reason why McDonald's is always throwing some new stupid burger out there, or uh, the Nabisco is making a new kind of Oreo when everybody loves
Right.
the regular Oreo. Like they
Yeah.
have to like you have you have to constantly do something just to like shake things up, and you know motorsport is actually kind of the same way, and F1 does this. They throw new regulations, uh, new parameters for the cars. They throw them out periodically, and it shakes things up. It's I think much like what I was just saying, some are going to hit and some are going to miss. I myself don't like a banana split Oreo, but but so it doesn't hit. But every now and then something sticks. So at one point they did the double stuff Oreo, and that's my favorite. So
There you go.
the hybrid engine. I don't know. You might like it. You might hate it. You might prefer the V10. You might like the the shorter wheelbase or whatever, and we'll see. We'll see what sticks and what doesn't. But it is still fun. I still like it. I really, another thing that I guess I'll bring up that I'm liking this year, we're getting to see a little more of the personality of Kimi Antonelli. And man, that guy's got a good personality for the sport. He's kind of young. He's excited. He's very emotional, and I mean, he almost like has a little bit of naivete. He's kind of seems like he's just a kid that's having fun, and I think that's pretty cool. I've enjoyed that. So anyway, yeah, I kind of pivoted there on my point,
No, that's all good. You're right.
but yeah,
It's good. And the way that everything's shaking up, so we had three different teams on the podium today. That's not a bad result, right?
yeah,
I think as a fan of the sport, that's what you want to see. You want to see competition at the top of the game, and we definitely saw it today. We had Mercedes, Kimi Antonelli, Oscar Piastri, and we had Charles Leclerc. And then the other Mercedes, McLaren, and Ferrari. Same order, just doubled up, which is kind of fun. And because of that great result that Oscar Piastri had today, he's already up to sixth in the championship points. So uh, the fight's not over for him, which is kind of nice to see. He's only 4 points behind his teammate Lando Norris. It's gonna be a good one, man. I think it's still too early to say. We do have that month off. It's gonna be a brutal, grueling month of waiting for Miami, but I think it'll be worth the wait. I'm really hoping, like you said, teams get to go back and do whatever they want and figure out all the bugs within their system. So I'm looking forward to it.
yeah, yeah. Me too, man. Yep. So did we recap? I know you and me talked about the bold predictions. Did we
We
talk about it
haven't.
yet?
We
Oh,
haven't.
so do
So
we need to pivot there?
yeah, let's pivot there really quick. So we're not going to make bold predictions for Miami since that's a little far out. We could do that on our next episode. But I am 0 for 3 this week, and I said Williams were going to be in the points, that was pretty reaching. I said both Haas were going to be in the points. It may have been so today. It could have been had it not been for one of them crashing out. And then I put George ahead of Kimmy, which would have been the case except for that blasted yellow that came out. And you were 2 for 3. You said McLaren were going to qualify in the top three, which they did. Pierre ahead of Behrman. You got that one by default, so that was good. And you said Hulkenberg in the points. Just missed out. Finished in P11. So you are top of the scoreboard. 5-1 is all it is. The only one I have correct is both Astons retiring in the first race, which is really brutal, but it happened. So how brutal
Yeah.
could it be?
Well,
So
yeah. I mean, it was. There was one thing I wanted to bring up too that is related
yeah,
to one of your bold predictions. So, with you had thought about having, or your prediction was both Haas in the points, and Haas has been pretty good. Behrman particularly has been doing very well this year. And
Yeah,
Ocon was what, P10? He got the last point
he got the
available
last
this.
point,
And so
right? Did he?
Behrman crashed, and the result of the crash, or the way that it happened, was that Behrman was was going pretty fast trying to get into the spoon curve, and Colapinto in the Alpine moved kind of to the left just a little bit, sort of like into his path, or at least Behrman thought he was going to go into his path, and he reacted and picked up some grass and spun and crashed. I mean, it was a big shunt, but one of the points I wanted to make, and I wanted to kind of get your take on this, was that they did ultimately investigate what happened, looking to see if there was any blame to go around there, or whether it was on Behrman or on Colapinto, and they noted it, but ultimately didn't press the issue. They just let it go. They said it was just racing incident. And I honestly have felt like this year the FIA has backed off of harsh penalties. Have you felt that as well? Like there hasn't been a lot of stuff of incidents on track, but I feel like we haven't seen a lot of like penalties thrown out in these first three races, including another one that happened during the race was that Norris was kind of right up the back of Hamilton, and they went into the chicane, and Hamilton was ahead and sort of missed the chicane and cut it, and they opted to not penalize Hamilton for that either. So there was a couple things that I think went down today, and the FIA opted to not penalize, which is, I think, good. We've always complained about how the FIA is inserting themselves too much. So I don't know if you have any thoughts about that before we before we wrap this thing up.
There was one. I think you're right for the overall most part. I think they've kind of backed off. There was one race. I can't remember if it was China or Australia, but there was one where somebody got like a 10-second penalty.
Yeah.
And I thought it was really harsh and brutal. I can't remember which race it was or who it was.
No, I
But
know what you're talking
I thought
about.
that yeah. Do you remember that one?
Was it Ocon that got the penalty?
It might have been.
I
I
don't know.
remember it being really aggressive and not necessary. Um, so it seems they're still kind of cherry picking a little bit. So, but I mean, we're only three races in. We'll see. There wasn't really much going on. I think you're right. A lot of people, this race kind of skirted it, but I didn't think there was really anything that warranted a penalty, anyways. This race. I mean, yeah, a few drivers cut the last chicane, which isn't uncommon. You know, people break late in that chicane all the time and end up running it, but it wasn't like anybody really gained an advantage, or it wasn't under heavy pressure and left the track and gained an advantage, I think is what the rule is. So I didn't see any of that, at least not that they showed. So this race was pretty vanilla in my books.
Yeah. Well, I'm hoping that what I'm seeing is a trend that the FIA is going to penalize less and reserve it for really severe infractions or super obvious that somebody did something.
Yeah,
I felt like the Hamilton one was maybe a little more obvious. I didn't see much in the Colapinto and Behrman thing, um, but in the one where Lando was within half a second, maybe even 0.3 of Hamilton, and Hamilton cut that chicane, and I mean he didn't gain an advantage; he was ahead already, but it seems to me like he almost gains an advantage because he didn't hit the chicane. So I thought there
yeah,
was maybe something there that they could have. I don't think it would have been worth 5 seconds, which is I think the minimum of what they would have given him, um, but they didn't give him anything. So I thought that was kind of good. I mean, if they didn't think he gained a 5 second advantage, which he certainly did not, then I don't think it
no,
would be. I think it'd be too harsh to penalize him, and I think it would be have been. I think it would have been a little too harsh let to make him give the place to Lando when Lando never was side by side with him. So I was glad to see that Lando was on the radio asking for it. He's got saying he needed to give the position, and I was kind of glad that they didn't just hand him that hand him that spot. I think ultimately, Lando got the position through just beating him on track. So that's what you want to see, right? Not the FIA giving people points.
Yeah.
So
So
yeah,
overall a decent race. Looking forward to Miami. Woo!
that's right.
Miami's surprisingly had some good races historically, so I'm hoping that this upcoming one will be no exception. Um, I guess we'll find out in
Yeah,
a month time. In a month time.
I think Miami wasn't that where Lando won his first ever race. So um, maybe it'll be Lando's turn this time to have a good race.
I'm hoping so, man. Need those McLaren boys to come back up, although I'm pretty happy the way Ferrari's performing at the moment, and I hope they continue to do better.
Yeah, I am still got my eye on Lewis. You know, he got a podium last race. He finished a kind of disappointing P6, but was in the mix. Was up to P3 at one point in this race. So come on, Lewis, we got to do this, man.
Yeah, it's it's all there, man. It's all there. Ferrari have they've got that low power. So once we get to a low power circuit, which might be Miami, except for that long straightaway, it's a kind of twisty and turny. So plenty of opportunity for them to get the low power down in Miami.
Yeah.
We'll wait and see, man. It's gonna be a good one.
All
But
right, man.
yeah. Well, thank you for joining me, recapping the Japanese Grand Prix with me, giving our thoughts, and we'll say adios until next time.
Adios.